Hello, welcome to the market commentary for today. Today is October the 14th. It's a Thursday, so hopefully you guys have had a good trading week so far. Let me just make sure that the disclaimers are up there on the board, so please read them, not just for legal reasons, but also to understand the kind of things you can expect from videos like this. Now, a 3D market commentary, we do these videos every day, Monday to Friday, to expand on an email that we send to our free members. Now that email contains information on 5 major world markets, looking at 3 elements per market, hence why it's called the 3D market commentary. My name is Becky, my email address is down here, that's becky@tradictive.com. There's also support@tradictive.com, so you can email us if you have any questions. Now, if you go to tradewithufos.com/Becky, from here you'll be able to get yourself the different apps that we use, the different things that I'll show you in a second. You can get that. You can sign up for a free Trade with UFOs membership. You can book one-on-one coaching if you'd like, and you can also scroll down. Once you're signed in, you can ask questions in this public space, which is great because it means I can, or my colleagues can, answer the question in the public space, which allows other people to see the questions and answers. So if you can, please ask questions there. It helps the entire community. If you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. You can always email. Okay, so I said that the market commentary was looking at an email that we send out. That's the email, and it's relevant to market data. So we'll look at obviously both of these things. So 3D approach, looking at 3 separate elements. First things first is market climate. What that means is, where do we have probability? So for each of the markets we'll look at, is there probability upwards? Is there probability downwards? Or is there probability in neither direction? And therefore, do we buy, do we sell, or do we do nothing? So we're going to use an app to help us with this. It's a free app. On most platforms you can get it on. It's Auto Climate, that's what we use. Ignore the lines, but if we just focus on the dots at the bottom, if we have a thick blue dot, that tells us probability is upwards, and therefore we should probably look to buy. If we have a thick red dot, that tells us probability is downwards, and therefore we should probably look to sell. And if we have a thin dot of either colour, that tells us not enough probability, therefore do nothing. So we're going to look at this per market, see where the probabilities lie. Then we want to know is, if we're going to buy, where are we going to do that? If we're going to sell, where are we going to do that? In other words, where are the best places to buy and sell? So we use again an app for this. It's called AutoUFOs, and it highlights for us, if you see these green little UFOs with the prices on the right hand side, these show us where buyers are, where lots and lots of buyers are. Now that's helpful because the only way price can go up in anything in the world is if you have more buyers than sellers. And so to know where we have lots of buyers gives us an idea that it's more likely to go up from there. Same with the sellers. These red UFOs show us where sellers are, lots of sellers. That's helpful. Again, tells us the prices. That's helpful because the only way price can go down is if there's more sellers than buyers. And so by knowing where lots of sellers are, gives us a good idea as to where price is likely to fall from. So we'll look at that per market as well. And then the last thing we look at is market volatility. Essentially, how quickly can we expect these markets to move? So we'll look at each of those things per market. Starting with the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US stocks. So having a look here at the S&P 500, we have, well, interesting. We have a thick red dot, which is probability to the downside. However, we've seen a very recent push to the upside, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that break. However, something we should bear in mind is that we have sell orders just above us here, between 44.72 to 44.10.75. They already worked here, price came in and fell down, and they're on the way back up again. So even though they're pushing upwards and therefore may break this climate, if it were to hit these sell orders, they're likely to fall from there. So I would say overall, still probability slightly down. Now, something to bear in mind as well is that usually these markets go down for 3 candles, and we're on candle number 3. So we have come to the end of what would be a usual move to the downside. So kind of points in either direction. If you had to call it overall, it would be to the downside, I would say. We have buyers all the way down here at 41.23 to 40.55.5. So overall probability to the downside, but a few things pushing against us here. The fact that we have come to the end of a usual move, and the fact that we have seen recent push to the upside. So we'll see how that plays out. Overall, slightly probability down for the time being. With volatility, we would expect that the S&P would move up or down in 1 year of 17.8%. So in a day, that's 49.14 points. In a week, 108.18 points. And in a month, 225.19 points. So that's the S&P. Now moving on to the next market, which will be oil. Now before we do so, just to highlight here about the different courses that we offer. If you're looking to learn anything about futures, stocks, forex, backtesting, trading plans or psychology, we do courses in all of those things. Most of the courses come with 3 months complimentary access to the apps. Now AutoClimate is a free app on most platforms that you can use it on anyway, but AutoUFOs is a paid for subscription. Now you can subscribe directly to AutoUFOs, you don't need to have a course in order to do it, but a lot of times getting a course and getting 3 months free access to the AutoUFOs is cheaper than simply just subscribing for the UFOs. So check that out and see if that works for you. Okay, coming back to oil, we have a confirmed upwards climate, probability to the upside. We have no sellers above us, we have buyers just below us, which is 78.89 to 74.96. So overall, likelihood to the upside, right? Probability to the upside. However, to bear in mind that usually this market would go up for 7 candles and we're on candle number 16. So we have gone further than twice as far as what is normal. So that obviously means that the further it goes past what's normal, the less likely it is to keep happening. Overall though, still probability upwards. Now notice I'm using language like probability. We never know what is definitely going to happen in anything in life, let alone the markets. So we have to go by probability, statistical advantages, things like that. That doesn't mean that we're right every time. We still might manage our risk or add more layers in to increase our probability. But for traders, at least for us, we don't want to be getting into a trade if we don't at least have some probabilities in more in one direction than another. So with crude oil, we have volatility expectations of 36.05% up or down in 1 year. That means in a day, 1.85 points up or down. In a week, 4.06 points. And in a month, 8.46 points. So that's crude oil, and that's what we'd expect from that. Next market is gold. Now before we load gold, there we go. Just to highlight there about our coaching and support. We do offer loads of coaching and support for free online, so you can join us in many sessions that we do on many different platforms, and you can obviously email us and ask questions and things like that. We also have a closed coaching community, a small monthly fee that just gives you access to more of our time in a closed environment. So with gold, we have a confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot there, probability upwards. We have usually gold would go up for 7 candles. We're on candle number 2. So at the start of what would be a move to the upside. We also have buy orders just below us, 1782.4 to 1745.4. The only thing that might stop this or get in the way is that we have sellers above us. That's between 1866 to 1804.4. So as we hit the sellers, what will happen is we'll have sellers come in and start to push price down, but we've got buyers coming in from the climate, buyers coming in from those buy orders beneath us, buyers coming in towards an early start of what would be a normal move to the upside. Overall, probability slightly to the upside, but I would be very cautious of the sellers that are in the way. So bear that in mind. With volatility, we would expect in a year movement up or down of 15.51%. So in a day, that's 17.58 points. In a week, that's 38.7 points. And in a month, 80.57 points. So that's gold. Next market is the US dollar. Now the US dollar is responsible for 80%, round about, 80% of transactions worldwide daily. So be aware of it. Whether you trade it or not, be aware of it. It will impact most markets that you could be trading. For some reason, there you go. Okay, so with the US dollar, we have an unconfirmed climate. So you see here, that's a thin dot, slightly harder to see. Let me spread this out, maybe make it easier. We have a thin dot there. Doesn't matter the color. The fact that it's thin tells us that we don't have enough probability either way. If we don't have enough probability either way, then we don't want to do anything. change time frame, change market. No need to trade something that doesn't have clear probabilities. Now we do have sell orders above us there at 94.57 to 94.235. And we've got buy orders down here at 93.495 to 93.195. Closer to the sell orders, because we're sort of here, slightly closer to the sell orders, but not close enough to either stack of orders really to make too much of a difference today. So for the time being, undecided with the dollar. Now in terms of volatility, the US dollar is the least volatile market that we look at. We'd expect it to go up or down in 1 year of 4.99%, which means in a day, 0.3 points up or down, in a week, 0.65, and in 1 month, 1.35 points up or down. So that's the US dollar. Now, last but not least is backed Bitcoin. Let's just load backed Bitcoin. Now, with Bitcoin, it's obviously not as old as the other markets. It's not been around long enough, so we don't have as much data on this. What I mean by that is we can see we have a thick blue dot. We can see that we have a confirmed upwards climate. Great. What we don't know is how long it usually goes up or down for. Just because it's not been around long enough yet. We don't have the data to be able to say what usually happens or doesn't usually happen. So we're in the dark there. But what we do know is that we have a confirmed upwards climate. Kind of in the middle again, closer to the sell orders, but a little way to go before we reach them. Sellers are there between 65,000 and 61,120. And we have buyers underneath us at 49,702.5 to 47,450. So overall, probability up there coming from the climate. Nothing I would say on the orders currently that could be really pushing it up or down soon. With market volatility, Bitcoin is the most volatile one that we will look at. We would expect yearly movement up or down of 91.86%, which means in a day, 3,331.51 points, up or down. In a week, it would be 7,333.98, and in 1 month, 15,266.9 points, up or down. So that's Bitcoin. So we've now looked at all of the 5 markets. For each of them, we've looked at the climate, which is using an app to tell us where probabilities lie, up, down, or nowhere. So therefore, we know whether or not to buy, sell, or do nothing. We've looked at buy and sell UFOs. Where do we have lots of buyers and where do we have lots of sellers that could push price up or down respectively? And volatility. We've had a look at how quickly we expect the markets to move. Now, last thing to look at is going to be our weekly economic calendar. Now, we get this from fxstreet.com and we filter by high impact news, meaning we want to know which scheduled news reports are due to come out that could impact these markets, that could move them, that could create volatility. So today being Thursday, there will be, it looks like a national holiday in India that could affect the Indian markets. And later on this evening, Eastern time, we would have some news coming out on the euro from the European Council meeting that could affect European markets. So to, bear that in mind if you trade those things. Now, if you have any questions, go to tradewithufos.com/Becky and you can come down, log in to your free membership and get yourself on there or get your question on there so that I can then answer it on there and everybody can see the answer and the question so everybody learns from that space. If not, if you'd rather email me, you can. It's becky@tradictive.com. Any questions or anything, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great trading day. I'll be back tomorrow, so I'll see you then and take